And then the final thing I'll say on this topic is we really want to encourage our customers to tell a story rather than pushing products. So this engaging video with the animation capability, tells a story with consumers, engage with consumers. My head of marketing reminds me all the time, have a conversation, don't push product. I think that's a really good idea to live by.
Bob Braham, it is good to have you here on Economics. How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
Joseph, I'm doing well. Listen, I'm thrilled to be here. I've listened to a couple of your podcasts before. You do good work. Your guests have set the bar nice and high, so I'm ready to roll this morning.
Amazing. Well, it's an honor to have you here. And I have some through lines throughout the show that I like to bring up. And one of them has always been about scope. Is every time I meet a guest, it makes me realize just how big, not just e-commerce is, but the commercial industry altogether, and seeing all of the intersections and the way commerce and e-commerce are working together, and there's meshing, and I'm just going to start spewing off verbal salad. So I'm going to cut myself off right there. Bob, opening question for you. You know it's coming. You prepped for this. So tell us what you do and what you're up to these days.
Joseph, my career has been working at a lot of large, well-known enterprise software companies, Hewlett-Packard, followed by Oracle, Dell EMC. I came into this role at Famous as the CEO. I teased my wife, I'm the reluctant CEO. I was looking for some other, head of marketing, head of sales job. And this is a really cool opportunity. We'll talk about what Famous does a little bit, but fundamentally, it's a company that provides what we call a mobile e-commerce experience. Right now, we're in the Shopify space. We help our customers increase their sales. They tell us up to 35% within 2 months of using Famous, which creates these immersive, captivating video and animated experiences. Been here just about a year. I'm having a blast.
Amazing. Well, one thing that I think is important for our audience to understand is the relationship between how Famous works with Shopify. We understand that Famous is a Shopify theme, so it was something that I would install in lieu of. And I'm going to be transparent about this. I prefer to transparency in lieu of Debutify or whatever other theme people happen to be using.
So that sounds like a statement versus a question. What
Sure. So just make sure that I got that right. That's how Famous is integrated into Shopify.
Yes. So we have a tight integration with Shopify, providing a front-end experience. We do not completely replace the theme. We think we add on to it because it's a real specific use case for Famous. Typically, if you're trying to create a product launch, or a special product or a coupon or promotion, we find that the people who apply Famous to those special activities are really the ones who get the most bang for the buck.
Okay, great. Well, I would love to go through the process of this. This is probably the most granular stuff. And then people who know me know that we'll get away from the grains and then blast off into space. So we'll get there. They come for the granular, they stay for the galaxy. Now, so let's say I'm a user. I'm actually, I don't have to be hypothetical. I am using the Debutify template, and the idea of having this appealing product launch platform is going to I'm sold on it. So I think a lot of people, going in, they're probably going to be in this position too. They've already got a theme going. I don't know how often, and you will ideally have the data to support or refute this. I don't know how often somebody is looking for that starting point, and at that time, Famous would happen to be that starting point. So, how might I, as a seller, effectively use this when I'm looking to launch a product?
That's a great question. So here's how I would encourage the audience to think about this. Let me go through a little bit of history on Shopify, and I'll answer your question directly. What we've seen in the Shopify world is that people up until now are really focused on what we call back-end functions, drop shipping, payment, logistics, campaign management, which worked out great. Now in 2021, as Shopify has grown very, very dramatically, in fact, even ahead of their own projections, Joseph, last year there were over 1.7 million merchants. That means no matter what business you're in, you're going to see a lot of competitors. And now merchants are asking themselves, how do I differentiate versus all this competition? The prevailing technology beyond just standard Shopify themes have been page builders, but they're still pretty flat. They give you an easy way just to build basic storefronts or maybe one level above basic. What Famous does, the starting point is, if you want to solve that problem, we help our brands and merchants create these customized, high impact, visual mobile shopping pages on the fly. No code, no technical expertise. And let me just give you a snapshot how it works. merchants choose from one of our drag and drop templates, and they design their pages with Famous images, videos, and what we call animations, which is a finger swipe or an automated transition. And so there's no, like I said, no technical expertise required. You hit design, hit the publish button, it goes right to your store. And as I said before, our customers are telling us they're seeing a sales increase of a really impressive 35% for products they promote using Famous within 2 months.
Okay, this one came to the top of my head. So you have different niches, and I think it's fair to say that different niches will have an advantage with visual. So I think jewelry, for instance, is a highly visual one. I think clothing is highly visual, and I don't know if you have that same advantage if you get into, I don't know, tools or houseware. And I could be wrong. It could be that there is a different ways to approach the visual component of this. So are you noticing certain niches are taking major advantage of this? Are you noticing certain niches that are, to your surprise and delight, are using this in ways that are even really surprising you guys?
We are. My experience is that people want to connect. This is going to sound awfully mushy, but they want to connect emotionally with the products they're buying today. And so you listed some of those verticals that we see. It is typically in the CPG space. We see it a lot with fashion, probably more so with that $300 really nice sweater than the $20 pair of mittens. People want to see the fabric, connect with the texture, and see it flow. We see it a lot with food. They're number 2 vertical, actually, behind fashion. People are really concerned about whether it's health food, beverages, the food they eat. And the other one, I guess you could stuff jewelry underneath there. I would say beauty and cosmetics. But jewelry is kind of the same thing where people care about their appearance. Again, it's an emotional connection. I would say things like tools, probably not so much. I mean, I guess you're really hardcore, but we don't have a lot of tools merchants working with us on Famous right now.
Oh, okay, that checks out. I'm always, it's always, to me, those questions are always worth throwing out into the ether, just in case you never know, right? Well, actually, it turns out that if you put the right light on the scrapers, complete game changer. So got that one out of my system. Now, when we think about the product launch, here is and I might say it's a stereotype. Here's what goes through my mind. The product is not on the market yet, or it is so limited in testing that it might as well not have occurred in the market. And this is especially with my audience in mind. We do have a lot of drop shipping users here. This happens to be a drop shipping country, and so we're ready to scale this product up. We're ready to launch it. Now that's when I think the launch occurs. But what I'd like to know is if that's the only time a launch occurs. Is there such a thing as a relaunch? Is there such a thing as if the new version of a product comes out and they want to relaunch that? So we'll start there, and then there's going to be some follow-ups as well.
Let's start with the classic product launches. You've described it, Joseph. Yes, that's a great use case for Famous, because what merchants want to do is get that flagship product, premium product, or premier product out the door, create stickiness for people to possibly look at their storefront and buy more. So it's a great opportunity, really making a high quality impact. The notion of relaunch, look, another great use case for Famous is coupons. And I read someplace where 67% of all buyers online are looking for a special, looking for a deal. Again, creating stickiness with a coupon that you have with a Famous mobile experience page creates that engagement and stickiness that once they get on your storefront, they will likely navigate around because of the attachment to buy more product.
And since we mentioned social media, I think that is also it's a key element of this too, because what I find, and we look at the run of the mill Shopify store, and you've seen this, which is why you guys have created a product to solve it. You don't see a lot of visual engagement. As far as can be done, you can do images, you can inject a video into there, and it leads to a YouTube page, so it can be done. But what we're describing here, and I think users would be well suited to checking out some live demos, really at any point, because it's not like this is live. Pause button. So you have this premium visual experience. Now, what I'd like to know is how well is that experience consistent when you start moving on to social media platforms? Is taking the quality of the video, the established quality that you have on the website? And are you seeing this, I guess, this elevated responsibility to make sure that level of quality is on Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or wherever, so that they desire to have it?
Let me turn that question on its side just a little bit. We are looking real hard at how we put famous on those social media pages. My wife hits me over the head almost 3 or 4 times a week. She's a big Pinterest fan. Why aren't you guys on Pinterest? Well, we've actually worked with Pinterest and Instagram and a few others before. We're looking at the latest use case for famous, how that may apply. What we do see today is that merchants like to advertise on Instagram, Pinterest, etc. And what they'll do is that they want to create a link between their advertisement on social media to their page. We call that, the term is called social commerce. Mm-hmm. So once people click on that advertisement link, it takes them to a famous page, this highly immersive, compelling page, a product page, a shopping page. Very, very cool. High engagement factor. What we often see is that vendors or merchants have a really broken link between the social media experience and the ad and the customers drop into the product page. If it's a product page at all, some people use their website, which is just too overwhelming for a shopper, or website/storefront. So we think in terms of social commerce, we think in terms of people finding our customers on social media places like Instagram and then linking into a famous page. The notion of going from Shopify to some of the other places like TikTok, Insta, et cetera, directly on the roadmap. Maybe next time we talk, we'll be chatting about that.
As long as I'm here, doors are always open. So give yourself a couple quarters and come back in and let us know how it's going.
That'd be great. I thank you.
So the other side of it too, I guess this is more something that I just wanted to get more of your commentary on is the opposite to what I pose, which is the consistency of the visuals on social media established on the website. And I think the issue is it also go in the opposite direction. So you can put a lot of work into a video ads, into your organic marketing. And so you can have a really strong presence on social media. And then what you find is that now people go onto the website and it doesn't hold up. Can you comment on this for us? Have you seen that this has actually been somewhat of an issue for people coming to the website and being like, now that I'm past the veil, it's not really as compelling. And almost like the changing in presentation changes the consumer psychology, I think.
Well, I think you're right. We see this all the time. And so when people are doing and you cited 2 very good vectors. One is the paid marketing campaign. So social media, Google ads, influencer programs. When people then drop down from that onto the website, and we think they should use that link to use a famous page. If it's not a famous page, let me take away the advertisement. Do something compelling, creating, and captivating. So I always tell merchants, whether you use famous or not, do not drop people into your website. It's a terrible experience for a user. They won't come back. The other thing you mentioned is the more organic growth strategy. So we see that for the smaller merchants who don't have the big budgets. And our message to them is, feel as premium as you are, because famous is not that expensive. So you can have a very compelling experience for your customers that makes you look like you're much larger. Then we're no code. So you don't need a lot of resources to implement a famous page. And so if you're looking at things like a link in an Instagram bio, organic social media posts, or even a QR code in your email marketing campaign, these should all link to a targeted, highly engaging, well-designed product page. The final thing we're seeing that you and I didn't talk about is really weird as we're kind of sort of coming back into the world of norm and doing live events again. That's sort of coming and going right now. People are really thinking a lot about live events. And so taking, famous on the go, QR codes on the go make a lot of impact. And then the final thing I'll say on this topic is we really want to encourage our customers to tell a story rather than pushing products. So this engaging video with the animation capability, tells a story with consumers, engage with consumers. My head of marketing reminds me all the time, have a conversation, don't push product. I think that's a really good idea to live by.
Mm-hmm. Even just last week, even despite having recorded, I don't know, like 130, 140 episodes, one person had said, if you focus on the organic strategy, you're actually going to do yourself a lot more favors because it's getting continually more expensive to be able to advertise on Facebook.
Boy, everybody I talk to is shifting. I may be doing a disservice to people I work with, but we're seeing a real shift in energy from the paid to the organic just for that reason. The ROI is now really paying back and people can get awfully creative. I think you're onto something here.
The next thing that I want to ask about is, I guess, the the persistent effect that the website will have. So again, coming back to the idea of a launch, the launch window doesn't last forever. Eventually, you had to post launch, and then you just are in the existence, or I think spaceship. Eventually, the spaceship is in orbit, and then to continue with that metaphor, more for the fun of it, eventually the spaceship comes back to Earth. But that's more just my storytelling brain refusing to cooperate. So with the product launch, people come to the website and it's highly compelling. And what I'm wondering is, what's the sustainability of this? Are there ways that users are either, they're updating the visuals or putting in new video? Once the launch is over, is there still that same level of efficacy to the famous presentation, or do users have to find means to continue to get more lasting value out of it?
I look at it as a life cycle in 3 segments.
Okay.
First is the product launch. It's new, it's flashy, it's exciting. It'll draw people to your storefront to continue to shop with you. Then I'll use different words than you do, but I like the idea. There's the sustainability. So typically for a premium product, I talked about the $300 sweater versus the $20 pair of mittens. People want to connect with the product on an ongoing basis. They want to see the flow and texture of the material. Makes all the sense in the world. You can do that on an ongoing basis. Later in a product's life cycle, or if it's clothing, the seasonal cycle, you resort to coupons to really move things through. As I mentioned before, 2/3 of all online shoppers are looking for a deal. So if you think of it in terms of initial product launch, impact, sustainability, probably for higher end products versus lower end products, and then couponing when you're at the end of the life cycle, you've got a whole opportunity there of capturing your customer's attention, optimizing that experience, and having them engage even more fully on your storefront.
Right. And I think too that I guess there's a balancing act here between conveying the brand as well as conveying the product. Because if people come to the website, it's not just the product itself, but I think in order to sell people on the story, you have to encapsulate the brand into all of that as well. So are you seeing, when you're visiting different user pages and you guys are seeing what people are coming up with, are you seeing a consistent pattern where the product is put forth first, or is maybe they're focusing on the brand and then the product more happens to be there as a way to support the story?
Yeah, that's really valuable. So we have a customer called Woolly Grooming, who exemplifies this just perfectly. Woolly Grooming is a beauty and hair care brand that is developing vegan hairstyling creams designed for people with wavy and curly hair. And then they've got a market defined. And you can imagine they've got competition from some big brands. So what they wanted to do was look unique, create an engaging experience that would make them stand out from the rest of their competition, and frankly, look like some of the bigger players. Until they made famous, they told us they were having a hard time creating product pages that they felt would really get the reaction and the kind of excitement for their prototype they were looking for, Joseph. Mm-hmm. So what they found from testing Famous during the trial was that they could stand out with their product pages with Woolly Grooming to create this really cool experience. And they said because of the animations and the Shopify integration and the strong user experience, they found us to be a really, really good solution. So what they have found, their early days with Famous, what they're finding is the following. They've told us cash flow acceleration. They got up and running very, very quickly. Product sales accelerated right away. They really felt the feedback they were getting from their market was premium position. They were able to hang with the so-called big players in the space and create a brand that looked much more sophisticated. And then finally, they like the flexibility because it's no code. Their marketing people can do rapid prototyping, create a design, throw it out there, test it. When a product or message is updated, do it again. They could keep their message and tech stack very, very current instead of having to, do a lot of heavy lifting and plan multiple months in advance.
Okay, here's the thing that sticks out to me the most is being able to go toe to toe with the big players. And when I think big players, I tend to think what I refer to as conventional brands. And my terminology for conventional brand is basically a brand that wasn't made famous by way of e-commerce. So you have your Nikes, your Adidas, your Sony. It helps that I can name these at the top of my head. But I bring them up too. But I also bring up brands like Dr. Squatch. I bring up Manta Sleep. I bring up these brands that made their a name for themselves on e-commerce. So one through line that I'm observing throughout doing the show and and meeting so many minds in the e-commerce space is this, I guess, meshing of an e-commerce brand wanting to become considered a conventional brand.
Yes.
I think that there is a stigma attached to being known by way of e-commerce. And I think it goes both ways. I think now you actually have a stigma for conventional brands because maybe they're not keeping up with the times. Maybe they're actually starting to age and start to dissipate in relevancy, because if they stick to their conventional means and they don't embrace the internet, they're going to be screwed over.
The term that's typically used for that, I think it's gone by the wayside, but I'd like to bring it back to life in retail. It's called omni-channel.
Omni-channel.
Because
okay.
You're right. To be considered big, you have to have physical presence, physical stores, either through the big boxes like Target, et cetera, or Walmart, Target, et cetera, and e-commerce. We have a new customer. They haven't really launched with Famous yet, but I just love this brand. You're going to like the name. Name of the company is called Tush Baby. Tush Baby. The founder and CEO has developed a product that you carry your baby or toddler on your back or hip without stress on your upper body. And Tammy Rant is the CEO. I think Tammy is a walking brand unto herself. She was a hotshot salesperson at Salesforce and then LinkedIn, started Tush Baby as a side hustle. It took off like a shot. And so she left her job at LinkedIn. Tush Baby is now many millions in sales. Tammy has appeared on Shark Tank, Good Morning America, BuzzFeed, a lot of really big media. I mean, she's making it happen. Mm-hmm. And so about half her business is on Shopify online, half is to the big box stores. And if my daughter is listening to this, she gave us a grandson late last year. She can expect to see a Tush Baby product for Christmas this year. I guarantee it. I just love the brand, love the product. There's an example of this omni-channel, how someone's making it work to create sales and a great brand.
And then, so one of those that comes to my mind as well, and this one is part of the e-commerce established camp, which is Casper mattresses. And my girlfriend and I, we have a pretty high level mall not too far from here, and Casper was able to have a store set up there. Are they making sales in there? I assume so. But what they're really doing is that they're using it as a means to continue to market themselves and to establish themselves in the omni-channel sense. I'll work on that. I'll bring it up in episodes. You have my word. So my question that I pose to you is, you mentioned it with Tush, but I guess I just wanted to bring one more into it anyways, is, are you seeing a continuation of that, again, that prestige delivered by Famous in big box? Are you seeing brands actually take a crack at having their own stores and be able to match that level?
I don't think we'll be selling Famous for use by Target, Walmart, players like that. I mean, these are companies that spend, Joseph, they spend billions of dollars on their e-commerce play. And frankly, for us to get a decision made at those places is going to take a long, long time.
Yeah.
That's probably not a play for us. I think where you and I agree is that these emerging brands, you've got to play omni-channel. Real players have live presence. Another one I just love talking to is a company called Kids Italia. So it's supposed to be in a big box. They have their own stores. They've got 12 boutique stores in the Western US, plus a Shopify presence. Kids Italia sells high end. It's more than maybe a $300 sweater, $150 sweater versus a $20 pair of mittens. Mm-hmm. They sell high end kids apparel, and they're doing very well. And like we've talked about, they're using Famous for the life cycle. And if you go on the website on their mobile right now, you see promotions for new products being launched, and they're lining up right now some of the more sustainable activities. And my guess is they'll go to the coupon route later on.
All right. So with that, we got to also talk about the mobile experience altogether. So that is the key component to all of this. So going into this, one of the standing positions is that the mobile experience, really, the mobile phone, is the key to success. And we've talked to people. We've got the data to support this on our end as well. Mobile is where it's at. It's where the sales are made. So I want to hear in your words to reinforce this position and why the mobile experience is so tantamount to the success of a brand.
The reason why mobile is so important to the success of a brand is that 81% of the traffic and 70% of the sales, I'll take Shopify, are on mobile. I think e-commerce overall is about 55 or 60%. And so it's interesting, even though we don't have a sales force per se, I talk to a lot of customers. And what I tell them is if you aren't on mobile, you lose. You are not going to be where your market, where your prospects are. And with the rise of the social media and this notion of social commerce, People are playing all the time on their mobile device right now with Instagram, with Facebook, with Pinterest, et cetera. And so they naturally leverage that to do shopping on the ads. And so I think that trend's going to accelerate, not decelerate in the near future.
And this is one of the more interesting questions that I came up with. Is why I very rarely pat myself on the back in that way, but there it was. Is so you compare the two experiences. The mobile experience, it's the major advantage is the convenience of it and the accessibility of it. The desktop experience is the more visual of the two. You have bigger screens, and many people these days have multiple monitors at this point, headphones or sound systems, opportune lighting, so they can really get into the experience. So, do I have a blind spot somewhere, or is it that the convenience of using the mobile device is just far and away the most important factor to all of this?
My early career was in hardware and Hewlett Packard, in fact, where we sold these terrific desktop computer systems. We talked about a study done by HP and IBM jointly on how compressed screens would really focus the eye and really create more engagement. This is from a hardware standpoint. And that was really where smaller screens were better. It was back long ago. Fast forward to 2021, the technology and the precision on LED technology, LCD technology, and mobile is incredible. And so you've got so much precision on these small devices. It's barely a trade-off anymore. You fit fewer functions on a keypad for sure, but you nailed it. The convenience and the ability right now and the ubiquity of these platforms that we've talked about on mobile make the trade-off pretty minimal. What we find, in fact, people will register for Famous on a mobile device regularly and then go back to the desktop to actually use it because of the ubiquity of mobile. And that's something that we have to capture as a market.
I know that we agree. We didn't want to do the hour-long episode to this. We wanted this episode to be concise. So I'll make sure that we use a moment just in case there's anything else that we want to cover. I tend to do this just in case I missed a question that I should have asked, but whatever. So here is the economics world famous weird blasting off into space kind of question. So if you look at sci-fi. I'm thinking of the Orville, which for those of you who don't know is Star Trek, but with a serious drinking problem. And, they're in a spaceship. It's year, 2400 or something along those lines, 300 years past 2021. Incidentally, they go back to shaking hands. So we'll see how that plays out. But if you look at the devices that they use, for the main controls, for keeping the shields up, for firing the laser cannons, they're using panels. Basically, they're using computers. But everything else, they have their own personal handheld devices. They use that to receive information, to transmit information, to have calls. There's even an episode where they attach these to controllers on either side and actually start playing video games on it. It's a truly all-in-one, all-encompassing device. And what I'm wondering is this is truly the end game for the user experience. Do you guys see, feel free to have fun with this. I know this is all predictive, but do you see any possibility that something could actually eclipse the mobile device?
The way I think of it is not so much about the end of the mobile device as a hardware medium. What I think about is the network itself. When 4G came out, it just spawned so many incredible uses on the mobile device that we hadn't seen before and gave birth to companies like Uber, Twilio. It accelerated Shopify with the power of the network. And so as we go to 5G, a lot of the things you're talking about, like AR, VR, I think we are talking offline about holograms. I'm asking myself, will that next big leap in network performance spawn a whole new world of applications that are really network dependent more than device dependent? I think so. I think the real acceleration comes from the network. And so I don't believe the mobile device itself will go away. I think the kinds of things you're talking about, now visually I haven't put it together yet, but I think they become realized and instantiated through 5G and let's call it 6G and beyond. That's how I see the market going.
That's a great answer to the question, because if I'm being honest, I was never fully clear on the the difference between 4G and 5G, or the difference between 3G and 4G, and just what had amounted based on those breakthroughs. So this is actually the first time that I'm aware of this. So I would take that answer and I will run with it. So Bob, I know we wanted to keep this tight, and I feel like we've basically done that. So my wrap-up question to you is more of just like an insurance policy. If there's anything else that you just want to let us know about the platform, any question or any angle that I probably should have asked, this is the chance to just make sure that it's said aloud.
Well, rather than give you an advertisement about the platform, like I said, my head of marketing says, have a conversation with your audience. So I want to reemphasize the importance of a really successful product page, a really engaging product page versus a standard theme or what technology is today, page builder. So we believe that merchants should consider the following: immersive and engaging visuals such as 3D vision videos, animations that trigger whatever emotions you want from your consumers to feel about your brand or product, text and messaging that's straight to the point, easy to understand, really clear, intuitive navigation, and optimized, as we've talked about, for mobile, Joseph. 70% of all Shopify sales are done on mobile. The final point on that is, a clear call to action, which looks at where the consumer is in the journey with you and what you need them to do next. And then as we're wrapping up, I encourage people to take a look at our platform at famous.co. Famous.com is a footwear company. Famous.co is where we reside. Take a trial. Enjoy the product. Let us know what you think.
Fantastic. Well, Bob, it's great to meet you today. It's great to have this conversation. Looking forward to having another one down the line. So as I said before, our door is always open.
Joseph, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
To my audience, you all know the drill. It is an honor and a privilege to collect this information, provide it, and then share it to all of you. So with that, everyone, thank you for your participation. Take care. We will check in soon.
Because of Shopify, then the last 5 years combined of our company.
Hey, this is Joseph from Ecomonics. Just wanted to thank you for being here and for giving this content your time and attention. I hope you learned something. I can say with certainty, I have learned something with every episode that I have done, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. There's a couple of things you can do to help us out. If you want to check out the audio content, we are available on all major podcast platform distributors. And while you're there, give us a 5-star review. It helps a lot. And while you're here on YouTube, there's a lot of things you can do to help out as well. It's not going to take very long. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button for this episode, and hit the notification bell so when we have new content for you, it's going to be at your doorstep ASAP. Lastly, this podcast is created by Debutify, the best Shopify template available. It is 100% free for you to start, and it can change your life. It can make you so much more free than you are right now. So if this episode wasn't enough to convince you, I think a few more might do the trick. So have at it.